one. Need this one.
Are we done on Ablia?
No, we'll come back to Ablia. This last section is super fast. Tanya, this chapter is just like, if I'm here, we click through it fast.
Who are you fighting?
You said 30 seconds.
I said approximately.
Well, you're at 40 now.
Okay, the last section. So if you look at the objectives for the chapter, we've defined some accounting terms, some of the new stuff about posting. We've done a little bit of the concepts and practices, but that's basically like how to do it. You prepared a chart of accounts. You posted separate amounts in the journal, from the journal to the general ledger. You posted column totals from the journal to the general ledger. So the only thing we have left is to analyze and journalize correcting entries. What happens when you've made a mistake?
You have to.
No.
No.
Well, it depends. If you make the mistake
Can't erase.
before you post it,
Oh.
if I was doing my journal entries over here, and I haven't posted yet, I don't have all the pink stuff filled in, and I find an error, then I can cross it off, write a new one. It's all okay. But what happens when you find an error after you have posted? Then we can't just cross things out because we posted things.
Then you restart your whole
You
month.
do not restart.
That's
Okay. When you make an error and you find it after posting, you're going to do something called a correcting entry. Right? A correcting entry is a journal entry used to correct another journal entry. A correcting entry is a journal entry.
that is an interesting definition.
I know. Used to correct another journal entry. So if we find the mistake after we have posted, we will have to create a new journal entry that will also get posted later on. Now you're essentially fixing the error by making a new transaction. And remember, we always need a source document in order to do an entry, right? We can't just write up things willy-nilly. That's no good. Our source document is going to be a memo to tell us, like we wrote a memo to ourselves. Oops, put this in the wrong count. For example, one year in FBLA, Mrs. Feilbach came to me and she's like, oh, I was supposed to take money out of your account for concessions, but I accidentally took it out of robotics. So when you see your statement, it's fixed where I had to transfer money to robotics out of your account and give it to robotics. And so she had to do a correcting entry to fix the error. Right? And so it's going to show up like we can't just delete the old one out. Otherwise it looks kind of fishy if you just delete the old one out. The nice thing about correcting entries is they look just like every other entry we've done. So I'm not even going to have you write one down, but I'm going to show you the example. So on November 13th, they discovered that a payment of cash for advertising in October was journalized and posted in error as a debit to miscellaneous expense instead of advertising expense, $140. They write a memo that says, oops, we put it in the wrong account. All they did was in the journal, they took the money and debited to advertising expense, which was who was supposed to get it, and credited miscellaneous expense. They took it out of miscellaneous expense, put it in advertising expense. Okay, so all we're doing is making a transaction where we move the money, right, and making sure we've got a memo to do that with. Right? Make sense?
Sure.
Right? It's just another transaction that we've done a million times. A couple things to kind of wrap up the chapter. All right. We have not talked about the accounting cycle yet, but you've been doing the accounting cycle. Right? The accounting cycle is a number of steps that we repeat over and over again, either monthly, quarterly, or yearly, depending on how our business works. All right. You have done the first 3 steps. There's 8 steps in total that we'll do. Some of them happen very quickly. We have done 3 of them so far. The first step is to analyze transactions. We did this in chapters 2 and 3. It's where you look at, you get information, okay, I wrote this check out to so-and-so for advertising expense. And so you think about, you have to, in your mind or on paper, mentally write down, what's my debit, what's my credit, what accounts am I dealing with? That's analyzing it. Step 2 is to journalize transactions. Usually people think that step 1 and 2 they feel like the same step, because usually we analyze it and then we journalize it right away. We kind of lump it all together. They are considered 2 separate steps in the accounting cycle. So we analyze the transactions, then we journalize them, and now in this chapter, we post the transactions. To the ledger. As we continue on through the next several chapters throughout the rest of the semester, you're going to see we're going to add on to the cycle, and eventually we come back to the beginning. So if you think about right now, we've analyzed transactions, we journalized them, we post them, we're at the end of the month. Probably before we go on to the next month, we go back to analyzing, journalizing, posting, analyzing, journalizing, posting. Eventually we're going to get to a part where we skip down to the next step. And we'll worry about that when we come to it. But right now, think about we got those 3 steps in order. And we're always going to do them in order. If you want to fill in stuff on this side, if you want notes about creating chart of accounts, I do it instead of writing the notes down. I will let you use this piece of paper, this one. Not all of them. This one on the test. So if there are things that you would like to fill in here for your own reference, you can use them when it comes to the test. If you fill out this half and then you want me to look at it to make sure you didn't write anything down incorrectly, I will do that for you. It's not a grade, it's not a requirement, but I'll tell you if you've got things wrong, because it would be pointless to use something wrong on the test. Right. Otherwise, that's the rest of the chapter. That's it.
The whole chapter was about posting.
Correct.
Wow, that was a very fast chapter.
Chapter 3 was only about journalizing.
Oh my god.
It just took longer.
It seemed very, 'cause
It just takes longer